Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to go over Leetcode number 14, longest common prefix. This is an easy problem and it looks like I've solved it before, but I actually don't remember when I solved this. It might have been a while ago, but I'm going to go through this problem as if I was asked this during like an interview, and hopefully this helps you understand how to approach this if you were asked this as well. Alright, so I'm supposed to write a function to find the longest common prefix string amongst an array of strings. If there's no common prefix, return an empty string, just empty quotes. And then for these examples, we see flower, flow, and flight, and all of these have FL as the first two characters that are the most common prefix. And then for this example, the very first letter, none of them are the same. Well, I guess in this case, I mean, we could just compare like the first two, and if neither of those are the same, then we know that there won't be a common prefix at all. So then that's where we can return the empty string. So I feel like for this problem, I can already see that I'm going to have to iterate through this every word in the strings array, and then as we find matches, we can slowly increase our result, and then once we find a case that does not line up, then we can break out of that and return. And also the longest common prefix will be the maximum will be the length of the minimum length within the string array. But I mean, we don't know what the order is, so that's also something to keep in mind. But yeah, let's get into it. So I feel like for this case, I would probably want just to use like a result variable and have it as like an empty string. Why is it so slow? Okay, it's an empty string, and then we're going to iterate through each of the strings within our strings array. Okay, I think Leetcode's like bugging out right today or something, or right now. It's very sluggish. Why is it so slow? Give me 1 second. Yeah, it looks like my Firefox is taking up a lot of resources for some reason. Okay, maybe it's fine. Let's see. Nope, it's frozen again. Okay, well, I will have to try something here. Okay, let's try it out now. Alright, so let's see. What I want to do here is I want to just loop through until we find a case that doesn't work. So we'll do while strings index, the index equals 0. This will be how we keep track of what index we are for each of the words. While strings, we can just start this at 0. If it's longer than the other words, then we have to keep track of that. If it's shorter than the other words, then we'll also keep track of that. So string 0, if that exists, I guess. So if that exists, then that's when we'll just continue this loop. So we'll do a for const of str of strings. So this is just to iterate through every string in the strings array. And then I guess we could, instead of doing that, let's do equals 1 is less, actually, in case we're working with just one array. Well, actually, no, I can have that condition be done outside. So let's do str dot length I plus plus, and then if this is equal to 1, then we can just return that. But if it's an empty array, it's going to be 0, so we would just want to return nothing. So then this would fail, and then we would just return res. Alright, so then inside this for loop, we're going to do a comparison between strings of index I is equal to strings of I minus 1. Yes, yeah, so since we're starting our iteration out 1 instead, we won't have to worry about the out of bounds. If these two strings are equal, then we're good. But if they're not equal, then we want to return res. So if this for loop goes through all the way, we're going to do index plus plus, because that means we've gone through every string. And then our result can be plus equals of strings 0 and index, but this one needs to go before the increment. So if we go through our logic here, I'm doing assuming everything works, of course. So if strings length is equal to 1, we know we can just return strings, the first index of it. Then while we have a character within our first index of strings, like say for example, let's do flower, we'll let I equal 1 to start our iteration of the array from 2, or from the first index, and then we'll do is the first character though, so this should be index. First character of this first index f is not equal to the first character of this one, then we're going to return, then we're just going to return result, because we can't continue anymore. But say this condition doesn't go through and we were able to go through the entire loop where every letter is f, then we exit this loop and we can add the character to our result string, and then we'll increment index. And so this will go through until we hit an O here, for example. So we'll hit an O, and then so this O will check with this O and finds that they're the same, and then we'll come into the I where I is not equal to O, then we're just going to return res. And res at this point will just be an FL. And then for these other cases, yeah, so say we have the string D or dog, and then we'll have a D, we'll iterate through, we find that R is not equal to D of the first or the 0 index string, So then we're going to return res, and res at this point will be an empty string. And then say we have, for example, say we only had flow and flower, and if flower ever got to E here, so we check this this index. Oh, whoops, sorry. This -1 is not in the right spot. This should be over here. We're going to check that, and so we'll be looking at this index, but it's undefined. So I guess I don't know if JavaScript will treat like that if I do it like that. So let's do let's make sure that index exists first. If is equal to undefined, or we have this one equaling undefined. Or that, then we'll be returning res. I think that covers all the cases. Let's try it out. Okay, so we have those cases working. Then let's try submitting. And yeah, looks like all the tests pass. Looks like there's a few other solutions that are pretty quick. I wonder how they did it, but I mean, this is a working solution. Let's see. And then if we want to go through like time complexity, so this one's a constant operation. Then we have this while loop that iterates through. So I remember mentioning the this loop would go for whatever the max length, whatever the minimum length word within our strings array is. Because I mean, say this word, say the index 0 isn't the greatest or the maximum length. As we're going through our for loop, it'll find the case where potentially a letter is undefined, or an index of the word is undefined, then we return. And so I guess for the runtime, we're iterating through every element within the array, so that's order n. But for each word inside of that, we're iterating through each letter as well. So I guess you could say something like this would have a runtime of n times m, where n is the number of strings and m is the minimum number of the smallest length word within strings. And then the space complexity, we're storing our result inside of a string, so that would also be, in this case, m, where m was, as we stated before, the minimum length string, because that would be the average case, right? Like for this, the worst case we could have is we have this entire word. We can't have any of the other possibilities. So that's how you could explain that. And yeah, I hope that helps you understand the problem. Let me know if you had some trouble understanding, or if you want to have any suggestions for me, because I'm still trying to get better at doing this. And yeah, if you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, and I will see you for the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.